Hello, lovies. So this is another edition of Tea Time. I am your host, T, and this is my friend, Michal. And we're going to talk today a little bit about balance and intentionality. And I think the place where we can start is with social media. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I think social media gets a really bad rep for being, from the older generation, and being like, this is the devil's tool. And then you also have, I think, an overhyping of it from younger generations too. Yeah. And we can just kind of talk about some like the pros, the cons of social media, and then we'll see where the conversation goes.
Yeah. Well, one con is that everyone takes what is said on there to heart. Mm. Like, no matter what is said, like, they feel like it is a direct attack against them. Or, like, their community. Well, sometimes it is a direct attack against the community, but people feel like it's a direct attack against them specifically. Yeah. And it's like, girl, we wasn't talking about you.
Yeah, like when people are like, I hate apples, and the orange community is like, oh. Yeah. Oh, you just out here hating fruit now. It's like, wait a second.
That's a whole different sentence.
I wouldn't talk about you. Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, and it just, it often starts arguments that's like, you're saying the same thing I'm saying. You're just saying it differently. And I don't understand why you have to start this in the first place. Yeah. And then you'll say that, and they'll be like, well, I just said what I said. Have a good day. Just say you're wrong. Like, at that point, just say you're wrong, because you are, in the fact that you're arguing that I'm wrong, and we're both right.
No, I feel you. I think close, but not quite the same. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I have two things. The first thing I want to say is I feel like older generation is like, this place is so like evil and so aggressive, and I do think that that is present. But I also think that you have to take accountability for your timeline, right? Like, I used to work for this Aggie Agora, and it was she used to give my boss a lot of workshops and talks about social media and Facebook in particular, which is built terribly. Like, Facebook is built to like ruin your life basically. But you have to be intentional. I found that I would get on social media and I started feeling so bad about my body, and I was following a whole bunch of like skinny white people. And it was like, okay, wait. Or like not really feeling great about like my Black womanhood, feeling out of sorts about like my spiritual journey, for me being a little bit more radical when it comes to my spirituality and my Christianity. I had to curate, and I had to start finding people who spoke to me, but also making sure that the voices that are surrounding you aren't just the ones that make you feel good, feel right.
It's confirmation bias, basically,
like having to be very intentional about what I follow. I also have one day of the week where I don't touch social media like at all. Like, I have to be very, very self-aware about my engagement with social media, because it does, especially being I'm 24, I'm gonna be 25 this summer, God willing, and the creek don't rise. And at this time of life and on social media, if you look, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to have a husband. I'm supposed to have like a kid and another one on the way. I'm supposed to have a dog. I'm supposed to have like a house. I'm supposed to have an apartment complex that I'm renting out. Like, like you're supposed to have I'm supposed to have a Tesla. Like, I'm supposed to have all these things. And so there's this life that where you used to just basically judge your life on the 5 or 6 people that were surrounding you. Mm-hmm. You're now judging your life based on
everybody.
And it's skewed because it's not everybody. It's everybody's presentation of themselves. Yeah. Which is crazy.
People my age, they're like, you're supposed to have a boyfriend, like, you're supposed to be getting to school, getting your education, which I am in school, getting my education. But it's like, you're supposed to be able to balance all of that. Yeah. And also be happy. Right. It's I can only do 2 out of 3. Like, I can only do 2 out of 3 because it's not like that. Like, they're not happy. They're just showing that they are. Or if they are happy, they're like, society's not built to be happy with everything.
Yeah, that's real.
So they had to sacrifice something, and maybe that's not what I want to sacrifice. You know?
Yeah.
So
choices and intentionality. Yeah. I think it does come back to that, and I think also it is important to see that on social media. Excuse me. As much as like following those people that I was talking about earlier make me feel so right, there are so many things that'll also make you feel so wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? Like when it comes to, especially when it comes to like sex and sexuality, there's so many things where it's like, be a hoe, but don't be a thought. Like and it's like, wait a second, or vice, like, and I'm like, hold on, and you're like, what are the demarcate? Where does hoe start? Where is it? You know, and you just feel off, like you feel not right because you're like not having enough, or you're having too much, or like everything just feels. Wait, am I normal? Which I do like social media because you can find somebody who's like,
don't listen to that.
Listen, it's normal. Yeah. Right? And you find a community, whereas you were always just learning from like media. And when I say media, what I mean is like newspapers and magazines and like TV shows and all this stuff. That's where you were learning a lot about yourself and how you fit in the world. Mm-hmm. And when I was coming up, all of our TV shows pretty much had 30-year-old people playing teenagers. Right? So... and you are looking at them and you're like, that ain't what, like High School Musical, they set us up.
They really did.
They set us up to have body image issues like nobody's business. Because by the time you get to high school, you're like, wait a minute, why? Where is Zac Efron? Like, and you're looking at these short little guys and you're like, what's going on? Where is my,
where's my Corbin Blue? I don't understand.
And these are 30-year-old men. Yeah. These are grown men. And so it's insane about how you just like are going through and you find these bursts of like at homeness where I'll find like something about being like a Black woman in America and it just makes me feel like, oh, okay. But then you also see something else and it's like, gosh, is that bad out there? Yeah. You know?
You forget there's another side until you meet that other side.
Sometimes, yeah. And it happens both in the good or the bad. Because there'll be sometimes where I'm reading the comments on social media or something. I'm like, I'm not going to share nothing. Because y'all obviously don't have no love in your hearts. Like, y'all are so mean.
And you know that one person you see that's like, I don't understand the hate against this. And you're like... oh,
right. Or you notice that it did get into you, because there'll be sometimes I see something and I'm like, this is trash. This shit is trash. And I'll look in the comments and it's not there. I'm like, oh, am I mean? Yeah.
Why do people like this? Oh no, people like this.
Yes. And so you're like, I don't remember. You also, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, I realized that I need to be more careful with forming my own opinions about things. Mm-hmm. I have found myself also being like real drawn to comment sections. Mm-hmm. Like I'll watch a video and the video is like, I liked the video or the video has its feelings or whatever, but I'm always like, okay, and what are other people thinking about it? Mm-hmm. And it's, wait, why do I, and it's different from me being like, yo, Michal, did you see this show and how you feel about it? For me being like, well, what are people thinking and feeling about this thing? Mm-hmm. It's like, wait, why is that an impulse that you have? Yeah. So I think it's important to have that too.
Yeah. Just kind of, I'm like thinking, and I'm like, yeah, that's what, I don't even watch the video fully anymore. I just kind of, oh, that was funny. There's one little part out of this 3-minute video. Let me see what everybody else says about this 30-second clip out of this 3-minute video.
Yeah, that happens.
It gets really like almost repetitive. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. That's a good pro though. That like you see people who are like you kind of build a community out of that, but also comes from that is, what is my community saying about this?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like you might like something, but they're on a more extreme version where they're like, I hated this deserves to die, whoever liked this are terrible people, and it's like, oh no, I liked it.
Yeah. Things are so extreme. Yeah. Everything is so hyperbole based on the internet, that everything's like, yes, goddess, or kill yourself. And it's like, wait. And you lose the middle. And you start finding that as you're moving through your life, you're starting to lose, like, the gray, too. And, like, you're just looking at everything so black and white sometimes because that's how the internet paints everything. Like, either you're good or bad, in or out, hot or cold. And it's like, wait a minute.
You kind of forget there are real people behind
100%. 100%. Yeah. You definitely do. And then I think, too, like, on YouTube, sometimes I be feeling some type of way because I'm like, some of the, like, the influencers on YouTube that I follow, like, they're so young. Mm-hmm. And so I be feeling some type of way because I'm like, oh, no, that's not what I'm doing. Or, like, maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So, like, as a creative, it makes me be like, maybe there's no point.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially, it's, first off, the market's so saturated. Right? Like.
Yes. Everybody's a creator now.
Everybody and their mama. And, like, that's fine. But it does make me be like, I don't really think or know if there's a space for me.
Yeah.
You know?
How am I different?
How exactly. Or you're looking and you're like, for me anyway, I'll see them and they've been doing it for years. So I'm kind of like, well, they got in before it was like hot and they built their like foundation and everything, and mine's still like super not there, you know. So it just makes you feel some type of, or like makes me feel some type of way. But I will say that on the other hand, YouTube has probably changed my life more than anything else when it comes to like technology. I mean, obviously Google's dope too, but like I'll go on there, I'll watch Iyanla Vanzant videos, Oprah videos, and the things that I carry, the jewels that I carry, the self-worth that I've done has like almost all kind of had at least roots in some shape, form, or fashion to YouTube. Like that's how I figure out which self-care books that I need to like, I'm like, oh, she wrote this, let me check that out. You
that's
know?
How I find good spoken word. Kind of just helps me with my own writing. I'm like, that was beautiful.
Yes.
It reminds me of this one thing.
Right.
And you kind of start, it does. It like expands you to more ideas. 100%. It shows you what else you can do, what people are now doing that you might like to, and like even what people are doing that you don't like, so you're trying to avoid. But at the same time, it also makes you feel like, oh, everybody's doing this. What's going to make me different? What's going to make people want to look at me like I'm looking at this person?
Yeah. 100%. Because you want to have impact. Yeah. I think something else that is interesting about it is that you like want to do a project, you want to start a thing, and it's almost kind of like there's too many. Like I almost feel like there's too many ways to do social media now. Because when I first started on Instagram, we used to post just anything. Like, and now people are making whole careers. So the thing that you used to just have, just to share, is now like giving people whole livelihoods. And I'm like, wait a second, was I supposed to? When did that happen? You know. So that's different too. But I do think that there is something to be said for the amount of like community that you can find, for the amount of resources that you can find. You know, but you just have to be very intentional about not getting lost in that world. Yeah. I watched I think the Social Dilemma, and they were talking about like younger girls and how their sense of identity and sense of self is so wrapped up in social media that they're like killing themselves. Like their rate of suicide is so high, and their rate of like eating disorders and all this other stuff is like the highest it's ever been, pretty much. And that's wild. That's wild. And it's pervasive. It's not just 13-year-olds. No. Like
my sister, who's like, I won't say like, she doesn't have like, not that I know of, she doesn't have an eating disorder or anything like that, but like the way they date now is like, oh, I found him on Instagram. We didn't learn that. We learned if some random person tried to talk to you on the internet, then you shouldn't talk to them. Right. Probably got a white man. No, we're dating. You're what? Yeah. He says he's 16. I seen pictures. that he posted, like that could be anything now. Like you know, and it just scares me a little that like if that's what's going on, what else is?
Yeah.
You know, like what else are you seeing and watching and doing that you think that's okay too? Like you know.
Yeah, that's real. I do like your sister's 16, my brother's also 16, and their relationship with like social media. First off, relationship with like peer pressure. We've always like obviously peer pressure has always been a thing, but not only do you have to make sure that you're good for the people in your immediate area, like he'll go to school and he'll be like, I'm not gonna wear those off. My mom got him like off-brand earbuds, like AirPods basically, but they weren't the Apple ones. And he's like, I'm not gonna use those because I'm gonna get like trashed. Okay, all right.
I'd rather have nothing than have this.
And in certain shape, form, and fashion in high school, we had the same thing, but you only had to do it in your area. You had no idea that people like thousands of miles away would be shitting on your shoes.
Like you in Minnesota talking about something why my Converse look like that. Leave me alone, Minnesotian.
And it's crazy because I feel like the internet and social media show you the absolute best and the absolute worst in people in a way that just gives you you think it would average out and you would get like a nice image of society, but it doesn't. It just makes you feel extreme. Kind of like bipolar because you're like, people suck, people are great. Wait, what's happening?
Either people are very, very nice or they're very, very mean.
Right.
Like they're professional haters. They're professional trolls online.
100%.
Like your whole page is dedicated to telling women they look ugly. Like, what is this? You're like, I hate LeBron James. I hate Kevin Durant.
Right.
But in their bio, it's basketball fan. Are you?
And I feel like back in the day, and maybe I sound old, but back in the day, you couldn't just say whatever you had wanted to say because you would get your ass whooped, right? Like, we don't have to touch it. Media. But like the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, every comedian above a certain age came up in the world knowing I can say what I want to say, but I better be able to run or fight.
Yes.
And social media has given those people who like, she ugly, he would have got his ass whooped. Because I went to school with girls who wasn't going to sit here unless you just call them ugly. Like, you know. You know? Yeah. And it was just more balanced, and it just feels like, I don't know, sometimes you forget that social media is this microcosm that's just on this thing that if you just put it down, if I just threw my phone for a second, it's like, oh wait, the world is still here.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. I used to have those moments especially in the pandemic, because like I was using my phone so much more because I wasn't going anywhere and doing anything and like trying to see what was going on in the world. And my sense of like anxiety and nihilism and like feeling like the world ain't shit and was ending was just so pervasive. But then I would like put my phone down and I would step outside and the sky would be blue, the clouds would be there, the trees would be blowing with the wind. And I was like, oh, wait, it's all still here. It just feels like that because there's this tiny box that has as much access to me as I give it. And it's trying, like, and it's an assault. In certain ways, social media and our phones assault us.
And we let it.
We do. But we have to also be critical enough to realize that it's designed to
let us.
To do it.
Yeah.
And to make us want to be in those worlds and like remember again going back to like who benefits, who's making money by the fact that like you're on your phone 10 hours a day,
right,
on social media 10 hours a day, you know. So I don't know, I think it's important to have these conversations though, because I do think we like as older siblings, we do kind of stand in the gap of being like, okay, yes, social media is not terrible.
Like, my mom doesn't use it at all.
See,
my sister uses it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like,
right.
I see what it's
but my mom has like the fun side of it pretty much. Like my mom's is like quilting and like people who are just like it's not the nefarious side. or she's like watching this like 60 seconds and they're saying like this girl got kidnapped because she was dating this guy who was like not who he said he was on, right? So like she has these two vastly different experiences of social media, and then you have him who's like, this is fine, like everything's fine. And it's like, no friend, nothing.
Sorry to tell you, that is not how the world is. But it's hard because we forget it sometimes too.
100%.
Like the meme is like, I'm not getting on the social media app until 3 seconds when I forgot. Now I'm back here. Like, you know, like, oh, I'm about to exit Twitter, and then 3 seconds later I forgot. I exited Twitter, and now I'm back.
Right.
Like, it's addicting. Yeah. And you're like, I don't need it until you realize you're on it every day.
Yeah. Like I'll be. Sometimes I'll be feeling self-righteous because I do take like a day from it every week, and I'm like, enlightened. And I watch a show on that same day, and I'll be like, I wish I could go on Twitter. Because I want to see what they saying about it. Like, and my mom will be like, what's Black Twitter talking about now? Because Black Twitter is a phenomenon. At some point, somebody's going to have to write like a whole academic book about Black Twitter. Could be me, could be somebody else. But somebody needs to do it.
It can't be me.
You can do like
they're
poems
too mean.
And stuff.
Yeah, I probably could.
Like we have like a book, you have the
so
poems.
Mean. But they're mean in the way that it's like you're experiencing both sides.
Yeah. Like
you're experiencing the love that Black people give in real life.
Yeah.
You're also experiencing the criticism.
The roasting. Yeah. And you're like, goodness gracious. I love y'all, but y'all are terrifying. Yeah. Right? And that's the truth. I think that's probably a good place to like pin this is that's Black Twitter is just a microcosm of it all pretty much, where you're just like, this is great. Oh, that's horrifying.
Like that's where the professional haters are, but also the professional lovers.
Yes.
Please.
You're like, just be nice. Please just be nice to me.
I just need to judge y'all off one tweet. I can't have 50 of them. It's all different topics. And it all comes back to the, I didn't say I hate oranges.
I think y'all can tell we're probably pretty tired. We've done quite a few of these this evening. What is your moral of the story other than you hate oranges?
There's balance in everything, and you can see it in social media. Like it's apparent in social media if you like take a step back. So the moral is like, take a step back and look for it. And I think that way you can also balance yourself in real life, even not just on social media. 100%.
My moral of the story is I think you have to be intentional. Like you have to. I can feel in my body and I can feel in like my energy when I have been on social media too much, or when I've been looking at something on social media that makes me feel some type of way about like it. I feel gross. And if you're feeling something that's like, ugh, you need to either curate, clean out, or just like cut off. And one of them C's will help you see your way to another reality.
Come on, pun.
So that's us for this evening. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for, subscribe and comment and do all the stuff that you're supposed to do on this thing. Let's all thank Michal for coming through to the space, for being the joy and the light that she's been. Obviously, we're going to have her back. Y'all have a good one. Be good, lovies. Bye.